Thank you for watching Murder, Monsters, and Mysteries. Today we take a look at two astounding monsters. First off, we have the Enfield Monster. Evening, 27th of April, 1973. Henry McDaniel, a war vet and antiques dealer, claims to have witnessed a terrifying creature on his property in Enfield, Illinois. It was a night like any other, until he heard some scratching coming from his door. McDaniel got his gun and flashlight and went to investigate, thinking it to be a bear. But what he encountered was something far more bizarre and terrifying. It had 3 legs on it, a short body, 2 little short arms, and pink eyes as big as flashlights, he said. It stood 4.5 feet tall and was grayish in color. Startled by it, McDaniel took aim and he shot at the creature. He says it made a screeching sound, much like wildcats, before running away with great speed, covering an estimated 50 feet in 3 jumps. Not sure what he had seen, McDaniel alerted the police. They took his statement. The officers who spoke with him found him to be rational, sober, and reliable as a witness, and they themselves saw animal prints on the ground nearby. Other than that, though, they didn't take his story too seriously. Henry McDaniel, though, did take his sighting seriously. He was convinced that he had encountered something monstrous. Later on, when he spoke about his encounter, McDaniel stated that it was not like any creature he had ever seen before. Some people thought it might be an escaped kangaroo of a man from Ohio, but McDaniel said that that could not be possible, as he had a pet kangaroo once himself, and that the footprints left behind by the creature he encountered were nothing like kangaroo footprints. Trying to learn more about his own encounter, McDaniel spoke to a local radio station, where he went over what he saw. He described the monster as being almost human in appearance. It was at this time that the story snowballed. The local area became very excited. Coming on board, an Illinois anthropology student recorded screeching noises in the area around Enfield, which they thought to be the creature. Upon further analysis, it was decided that the noises highly resembled an ape. A radio station from Indiana sent an investigator, Rick Rainbow, to look into the case. When he returned, he said that he and 3 witnesses with him caught sight of a mysterious creature which he described as being 5 to 5.5 feet tall and gray-black in color. Cryptozoologists Lauren Coleman and Richard Crow also went to Enfield to look into the matter. While they looked around McDaniel's property, they also claimed to have heard the same screeching noises that were previously recorded, and claimed to have had reports in the area from others who had seen an ape-like creature. It didn't take long for the story of the Enfield Monster to become well known. Locals continued to come forward and claim to have seen the creature, and McDaniel claims to have seen it on at least 2 other occasions. A few years later, in 1978, some researchers from Western Illinois University, headed by David L. Miller, dismissed the case, stating that it was nothing but mass hysteria exacerbated by local news outlets and gossip. Henry McDaniel, though, continued to stick with his story and has ever since. And now for a brief commercial break.
From the evil one, deliver me.
From the evil one, deliver me.
At the hour of my death,
At the hour of my death,
call me and bid me to come to thee.
call me and bid me to come to thee.
Give me the compass. If you don't, we'll take her eyes. We'll take your family's eyes. We'll make this whole town blind.
From the evil one, deliver me.
At the hour of my death.
At the hour of my death.
Probably should have come here first.
Come to thee.
Call me and bid me.
And now for a second monster. The Loveland Frogman. Loveland Frogmen are bipedal frogs, meaning that they walk on their two back legs and have webbed hands and feet. They have frog-like heads with wrinkly skin and are around 1 meter tall. The frogman or men are known to live in Clermont County, Ohio. They reside in the temperate forest and are able to survive the cold winters in the region without having to hibernate. Among the witnesses, we can count businessmen, farmers, and even police officers. The first sighting of these creatures begins in May of 1955 on a lonely stretch of road that runs along Miami River in Clermont County, outside the town known as Loveland, Ohio, around 3:30 a.m. A businessman named Robert Hunicott claims he saw 3 bipedal, semi-reptilian entities congregating by the side of the road. In shock, the man pulled his car to the curb and watched these creatures for what he estimated to be about 3 minutes. He noticed that the beings stood between 3 and 4 feet tall. They were covered in gray leathery skin, with webbed hands and feet. But their strangest feature was their large-sized frog-like heads. The man claimed they had deep wrinkles where their hair should have been. Just as the man was about to drive away, one of the creatures held what the witness described as a wand above its head. The source says that sparks flew out of the end of this device. He put his car into gear and left quickly at that point. And that was the beginning of the legend of the Loveland Frogmen. The tale wouldn't end there, though, as there would come to be more sightings by credible people. 1 a.m., March 3rd, 1972, almost 17 years after the first report, a police officer was traveling along Riverside Road headed towards Loveland when he noticed something that would forever change the course of his life. He was driving slowly because there was ice on the road when he saw what he thought was a dog by the curb. With surprising speed, the animal ran in front of the cruiser, forcing the officer to hit the brakes hard to avoid a potential collision. Once he came to a halt, his car's headlights fell upon the animal. At this point, the officer says that it was too bizarre to be true. In the span of seconds, this frog-like creature stood up on 2 legs and stared at the policemen. Then it scrambled over the guardrail and ran away, disappearing into the Ohio River. The officer described the creature also as being 3 to 4 feet tall, weighing in around 50 to 75 pounds. He too claimed that the skin had a leathery texture and that it resembled a giant frog or lizard. Another officer was called to the scene that evening. He saw no sign of the creature, but claims there were distinct scratch marks on the guardrail where the animal had climbed over. Another sighting occurred 2 weeks later when police officer Mark Matthews had a sighting of his own. In his report, Officer Matthews was driving into Loveland and he spotted what he believed to be an injured animal laying on the pavement. He got out of his police cruiser with the intention of removing the carcass from the already icy road, when the creature sprung into life and lurched upwards onto a crouched position. Shocked by the appearance of the creature, Matthews unholstered his revolver, aimed, and shot at the creature. At this point, it proceeded to hobble over the side of the road and step over the guardrail, while it kept a watchful eye on the trigger-happy officer. Both officers gave the same description of the creature, although Matthews described it as also having a tail. In the recent years, Officer Matthews has pulled back on his story. He claims that he might have been mistaken. Maybe it was just somebody's large pet lizard, and seems like he doesn't want to talk about it any further. Thank you for watching Murder, Monsters, and Mysteries. If you enjoyed tonight's video, please like and subscribe, as we'll be uploading more regularly.